All right. Looks like we're going. Well, you guys know the drill. If you've been here before, we're going to get disclaimers out of the way. Then we'll jump into it. So this is a weekly live broadcast, pretty much every Thursday evening. This is where you'll find me to come in and ask questions, chat, whatever you want to talk about is pretty much open. Doesn't matter to me. We can talk about all kinds of things, controversial topics like politics or religion if you want. The only things I ask is be polite, be family friendly. Don't start cussing anybody, crude jokes, that kind of thing. Don't call anybody names. Don't be hateful with anybody. We can have disagreements, still get along, still be friends, even if we have a difference of opinion. It doesn't really matter. So with that said, let's jump into it. We got a couple of people here already. We got Homestead Matters here, says, happy Friday Eve, y'all. I hope everyone is having a lovely day. Well, it's been all right day for me. Hopefully it's been good for you too. We have like 13 people just joined all of a sudden. Only 2 comments to respond to so far. Oh, wait. I got to turn this on to all chat. All messages are visible. There we go. Make sure that I don't miss any. Alan Pulley's here. He says, hey, Chris and all. Hello to you too. Thank you for joining. Glad to see you. Somebody leave a comment. Make sure everything's working. I'm not seeing any movement in the chat. And I want to make sure, if one of you guys would leave a chat or, chat in something, make sure the chat's actually working. There we go. Now they're starting to come through. It's working. Good. Thank you. I wanted to make sure I wasn't just talking to nobody or anything like that. Kay Moses says, greetings from north central Wisconsin. May have frost here tonight. Oh, I don't envy you guys at all. I'm glad to be done with the frost. We have had a cold front come through, though, so it's been in like the mid-70s all week, which hasn't been bad. We had some pretty good storms come through over the weekend, and I got some small branches, nothing big, but small branches down. I didn't get a video out this weekend. I was kind of busy doing a bunch of yard work, got into a little bit of poison ivy on my arm and my legs, cleaning up some stuff, getting rid of a bunch of brush, and then we had a storm come through. I guess it was probably Sunday afternoon. That was pretty good. No, it was Monday evening. Yeah, it was right after work, Monday. And pretty good storm, and blew down a couple of branches. Nothing big. Smaller stuff, but right after I cleaned up. So got to do it again now. All right. We got Don here. Says, everything is fine, Chris. Well, good. Thank you. You were responding to my asking somebody to leave something and let me know it's working. Don S. is here. Says, just came in. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. So and Tara says, hey to everyone from Douglas County, Oregon. Good to see you. Thank you for joining tonight, too. Albuquerque, Square Body LT from Albuquerque checking in. And Buck Reynolds says, hello, everyone. Hope all is doing well. I'm doing well. Hopefully you are, too. Dawn says, I'll get to 46 tonight in South Central Illinois. 46. That's your low for the night. Yeah, I think our low's probably 60, maybe high 50s. I'm not sure. But not 46. That's a little chilly. Cindy Rapp, hello. Says hello to everyone. So hello to you too. And then looks like we're just about out of chats. Anyway, while we're waiting on the chat to catch up and get some more stuff to respond to, let me see. Like I said, storm came through Monday. Pretty good one, really, actually. We had, if I had to guess, it was probably 60, 70 mile an hour winds come through. Didn't last very long. Trees were blowing. But what was weird about it is the backyard, all the trees there were blowing to the west, and generally our storms are blowing the other direction to the east. That was strange. The trees blowing to the west was strange. What was even stranger is that it was blowing like 60 mile an hour winds to the west, but the front, nothing really. I mean, it was very calm. It was not super calm, but it wasn't blowing very hard at all out the front. None of the trees were blowing around or anything, just the back of my house. It's not that much of a difference. It was a very strange thing. Had me a little eerie there for a little while, but ended up no big deal. The storm blew over and everything was fine. Let's see. Kay Moses says, last Thursday was watching the weather. Tornadoes, thankfully, went just south of me. Yeah, thankfully. It's that time of year. Actually, today is the, if you guys know about the Joplin tornado, monster tornado that came through, today is the 14-year anniversary of that tornado. Hopefully I never have to go through that again. It didn't hit me directly, but still hit the town and real close. I mean, I lost a couple of shingles. It was 3 blocks away, and I saw it, but I don't want to ever have to see that kind of thing again. I'd be happy if I never have to. But still, it's that time of year. Thankfully, the tornadoes that came through with storms. See, it was last weekend. I think we had storms. Those are all north of us. Looks like it did a little damage in a couple of places, but thankfully, it doesn't look like any lives lost. I know St. Louis got hit and had a couple of lives lost there, unfortunately. Dawn says I had to put the furnace back on last night and tonight. Oh, yeah, I think we're done with it. Fortunately, we're done with it. So and Tear says Penny had 10 kits the other day and Ravioli had 9 this morning. My ladies like it here. Well, awesome. Congratulations on all the babies. Hopefully they're all going to do well. Joy says, hello all from Western Oregon. It's been a rough week. Went home to find that my partner of 25 years, oh no, had passed away in his sleep while I was out. My bunnies are doing well, eating bunches. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible. That would make for a rough week for sure. Prayers for you and your family. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. That is definitely not good. Alan says supposed to be in the 40s tomorrow night here in Southeast Virginia. A little cool for this time of year here. The 40s, yeah, that is a little bit chilly, isn't it? And Cindy says frost again here in Minnesota. Oh my goodness. You guys are all getting frost. We're like well past it. Like now, back to like 2 weeks ago, honestly, was about the time that you would plant like tomatoes and peppers and all that kind of stuff. We're past the frost. We don't have to worry about it. So yeah, it surprises me that there's places still getting frost. Let's see where we got. Dawn says, I was sold jumbo brown eggs that were standards because I also bought chicks. So I sold them all yesterday to get rid of them. Never dirtied a cage, straight out of the brooder. Thank goodness. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that's the best way to do it, huh? Just sell them and get rid of them and start over with some actual jumbos. So I guess the person told you that they were jumbos and they weren't. I remember talking about this. Yeah, that's not right. I mean, did they not know? I mean, I'm curious. Did they really think they were jumbos or did they intentionally deceive you is my question. Homestead Matters said it's found some blood in the poop trays, investigated and saw some missing toes. So we have our first rat problem in a year. Game on, rats, game on. Yeah, good luck. Hopefully you get them all. You know, it may not be rats. It may be, but it may be something else too. You know, I had a problem with a fox that was coming around and grabbing their toes and pulling their legs off basically through the bottom of the cage. That has been a while. It hasn't been back since. I put some electric wire around it. He probably came up once and never came back. But it may be, I mean, who knows exactly. If you have a camera, you can put on them and see what's coming around and, you know, go ahead and set some traps for the rats or whatever you're going to do to take care of those. And good luck. Hopefully you get rid of them. Andy said, hey, everybody from Southwest Michigan, downright cold here, 50 degrees during the day, upper 30s at night. Planting the garden will have to wait. Yeah, sometimes the weather, your best laid plans get postponed just because, right? Well, good luck. Hopefully that doesn't last long. Let's see. Dawn's talking to So and Tear. Let's see. So and Tear says, sorry, Joy. Hope you find peace. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, praying for you and your family. Brian Allen from Alabama says, good evening. Good evening to you too. Let's see where we at here. Joy said, my granddaughter's doe had 9 kits today, an accidental breeding of house rabbits. Well, I don't know if that's good news or not, but accidental breeding, I don't know. Maybe it's good news. If they're house rabbits, they may be a good pet breed that you might be able to sell for some decent money if you don't want them. But I'm not sure how to react to that one, if that's good or bad. I don't know. Let's see. Dawn said, Chris, yes, they advertise as jumbos, and they told me they were. I am taking it as an intentional deception. Could be. I mean, are they experienced people or are they new to quail? They may have just thought they were jumbos. Maybe they were sold birds thinking they were jumbos and they don't know the difference. I mean, who knows? I find it hard to believe that they would, you know, advertise them as jumbos, sell them to you as jumbos, knowing that they're standard quail. It just seems like, I mean, that's just flat out wrong. I mean, advertising and selling like that, I mean, it's just, seems over the top. Like you're not going to last very long doing that, if that makes sense. So I don't know. Maybe not. Let's see. Kay says, Joy, so sorry to hear that. My husband passed unexpectedly 16 years ago. Hang in there. Prayers coming your way. Yeah, that's unfortunately part of life. We just all have to deal with it from time to time. But I am definitely sorry to hear about that. Christian Graninger? I think I've got it right. It says, hey, Chris, hi, everyone. Greetings from rainy New Jersey. Yep. Hello to you, too. Thank you for joining. We're going to have a bunch of rain coming through. It's supposed to start raining like tomorrow night, all the way through Saturday and Sunday and through Monday. So the whole 3-day weekend, rain nonstop, it looks like. We're supposed to get up to like 4.5 or 5 inches of rain, which is a lot. Don says, I sold the quail as standard and had no trouble doing it. There was no need to lie. No, absolutely. Always be honest. That's my policy. Homestead Matters says, we're pretty suburban and the enclosed cages are inside a carport, so cameras are on order to confirm. Good luck. I hope you figure out what's doing it. Don says, I'm sorry, Joy, missed that, and prayers to you. Don then said, Chris, he tried pawning Illusions off on me too, so he knew the difference. I don't know what that is. I got to do a Google search on that. No, it just comes up with a delusion. So did I spell it wrong? I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. I'm lost on that. S.O. Swanson says, I'm tired of the rain and daily tornado warnings. Mississippi has had enough. Yeah, you guys have been hit pretty hard, haven't you? I mean, I can relate. It's that time of year and we're at the edge of Tornado Alley. So it's, we get almost every big storm that comes through has tornado. Well, not necessarily tornado warnings, but a lot of tornado watches with them for sure. Christian says, you got it right, Chris. Sounds like the band Granger, but I got an extra N in my last name. So Graininger, I guess it is. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for clarifying. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Don says, let's see, we're headed back to the drought. Weather people explained it. No rain for 2 weeks now. We've got all this season. What we got all this season wasn't enough. Yeah, maybe it's, I don't know. We've been in a drought for a while. We're actually not in drought season anymore. The Andalusian is a Spanish horse breed. Okay, so had to look that up too because Homestead Matters says Andalusian maybe. Asking us a question, is that what it's supposed to be? That's a horse breed, I guess. I don't know what that is. So somebody's going to have to fill me in, I guess. Alan says, I think we're supposed to get that rain next week, Chris. They're calling for rain for 3 days straight early next week. Well, it very well may be the same rain. I forgot where you're located. You're in Virginia, aren't you? That kind of seems like, I don't think it would be. Well, it might be. It might be coming your way. Yeah, it might be. Joy Guthrie says, I have Andalusian colored quail and they're standard size. Oh, okay. So S.O. Swanson says Andalusian is from the SSC. Anyway, their collection. Some call blue. Can't breed to another Andalusian. Really? Okay. Don says, Chris, Andalusian quail or lavender. Really? I've never heard of that before. I'm going to look that up. Oh, okay. I see him now. Oh, that's kind of a cool looking bird. Yeah, you're right. If he probably knows what he's talking about. So it sounds like intentional deception. That's unfortunate. Cindy says, my first round of quail eggs rotted in the incubator. Temperature wasn't too high, so I'm not sure what happened. Stinky mess it was. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry to hear that. Did you have a power outage or something? I'm kind of curious. I don't know. Don says, exactly. Joy found out they need the other colors to breed, so he is breeding standard browns to them. Oh, that's not good. Andy Rabbit, she knows what they are. Andalusian's a silver quail with spots of regular color spots on them. Okay, interesting. I'd never heard of that before. I didn't know what it was. But apparently, like you said, the guy that sold those to you knows, so he should be I mean, you should be well aware of what a standard versus a jumbo quail is. Let's see who we got here. Joy says, I haven't had any genetic problems breeding them together. So you're breeding... And you're breeding them together, but other people are saying they can't be bred together? I'm not sure why they couldn't be. And Dawn says, I call them a-hole quail after what he did. LOL. Yeah, okay, I don't blame you there. I kind of get it. Andy wants to know if the turkey season's over now. Yeah, it's over. Mother's Day was the last day of turkey season. I did not hunt on Mother's Day. Took my wife out with her sons to dinner and, you know, spent that day. I didn't hunt that day. So that Saturday before Mother's Day was my last day hunting. We, excuse me, didn't hear a single bird, but we did see a couple. We saw two toms out in the field and saw them go into the woods. We went around and called to them a couple of times, couldn't get them to respond to us, lost track of them, never did see them again. So did not get a turkey this year again. Don says, I don't see Steve, but hi, Steve. Yeah, Steve's here. Joy Guthrie says, they can produce lethal whites along with other genetic problems. Oh, okay, so breeding them too close, huh? The fatal yellow is what, if you breed them together, it's where you get the fatal yellow. Okay, I got you. Andy Rabbit says, if one lives past a few weeks, it might go on to live a full life. Most seem to die in the shell or first week of life. So that sudden death kind of thing, right? That, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about there. I didn't know that about them. That's interesting. There must be just too tight to the gene pool or something like that. Interesting. Apparently the mutation that causes that color also carries that gene. You learn something new every day. So, close that out. And all of a sudden the chat has stopped. There it is. We got another one. So Don says, so the young punk knew what he was doing. I know he shops at TSC. I could run into him one day. Yeah? So he was a young guy? No, that's not good. So where was he advertising, I guess is a question. Where was he advertising these birds? Did he have like a business, or is he just some guy that has some birds and he just advertised them like on Craigslist or something like that? Because, you know, that's definitely, I don't know if you contacted him about it before you sold all the others. See what he has to say. You said he's on Craigslist, huh? Andy Rabbit says the mutation causes it, not from inbreeding. Yeah, I kind of figured that out. You're right. It's the mutation, not the inbreeding. You're right. Okay, so he's on Craigslist. I don't know if he has if he's doing a business or if he's just I don't know. There's a whole lot of things there. I was going to say if he's got an actual business, you know, you can always leave a review. I don't know if you tried to reach out to him and get it corrected, see what his response was to that. Who knows? But chances are, like, if he's doing that, he's not going to last long. So, Joy says, most of mine hatch male, unfortunately. I love the color. It is a pretty cool color. Let's see. Old BD1 says, hello. Southern California here. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Don says, dumb enough to give him a call, to give me his cell phone number, but I won't call him. Okay, well, I was going to say, if you reach out to him, maybe, I mean, who knows, maybe they'd make it right, but I don't know that it's worth it. You may be just better off counting your losses and moving on, right? Kay says, is incubating eggs an addiction? I seem to want to keep hatching eggs. LOL, this year I incubated chicken eggs. Now have 30 quail chicks I don't need. Did one batch of quail already. Yeah, it can be addictive for sure. I know what you mean by that. Sometimes I want to hatch when I don't really need to, but I do anyway, or you know, who knows. I've got some birds in the brooder right now. They're just a couple of weeks old. They're about ready to move out to the outside hutch. They are ready to move out to the outside hutch. I've just got to get a few little repairs done on the one hutch, mostly just the top, the plastic covering that I have over the sandbox. Got to replace that. So maybe I'll get to that this weekend if I can find some time in the rain or between the rain to get it done. Andy Rabbit says, funny thing, most of my beautiful Tibetan tuxedo have always been roosters. I don't hatch a lot of them though. Yeah, that is kind of strange how that works, isn't it? So you guys know me probably. I don't get into all the other colors. I've done it before. I've had some of them before. I just like the standard, or not the standard, the jumbo Pharaoh, the jumbo brown, the jumbo wild, whatever you want to call them, the meat makers. It's all the same bird basically. But the brown phase jumbo quail, those are the ones that I like because they're feather sexable. They're for meat birds you can't hardly beat them. They're the biggest, right up there with the biggest of the quail. They lay just as many eggs. I mean, I don't see any reason to raise anything else. I'm not saying you shouldn't. Just for me, I don't see any reason to go with anything else. And anytime I've had real issues with aggression, it's always been with those other colors of birds. The standard brown color seems to be just the most docile. Christian says, let's see, I'm curious what you guys think is an acceptable, good, or excellent hatch rate for mailed quail eggs. With lots of new people getting into quail this year, I see often unrealistic expectations. Yeah, generally with shipped eggs, I mean, if you get anything over about 50%, that's a pretty good hatch. If you get up, 60, 70%, I'd say that's a really good hatch. But expect a 50% rate roughly. You're probably going to do a little bit better than that, but 50% is roughly, I would say, a good expectation. Don says, I'd rather hatch than brood, LOL. I have 72 jumbo brown eggs coming this time from a real breeder, LOL. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'd rather hatch than brood as well. That brooding can be a little bit of a pain sometimes. S.O. Swanson says, you can't get help with that addiction here. We'll encourage the addiction. Yeah, no kidding. Andy Rabbit says, we call it hatchaholic. Just enjoy it. Yeah, see, go join a 10-step program and introduce yourself that way, right? Hi, my name's Chris. I'm a hatchaholic. We got Tony from Toronto here. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. S.O. Swanson says, I'm with you. The Pharaoh rule. Yeah, that's my thought too. But again, I understand why why people do like the other color strains and all that kind of stuff. They're cool. I agree, but it's just not my deal. It's kind of like, I always say this, kind of like Queen said, right? The beauty and their style went kind of smooth after a while. Then they followed up with something not related to quail, of course. But anyway, K. Moses says, thanks, Steve. Need to advertise to get rid of the chicken chicks and the quail hens that just started laying. You shouldn't have any problem getting rid of chickens right now. They're kind of in high demand. At least around here they are. Egg prices got everybody thinking about trying to raise their own chickens to save money, which is kind of comical if you think about it. But my neighbor has actually gotten chickens again. So she's bringing eggs over to us, which we don't really need, but I appreciate it. It's kind of nice to have chicken eggs every once in a while. Sergio says, hey, everybody, I got my quail hatching eggs from my Shire farm. They already started laying. Well, awesome. Glad to hear that. Congratulations. Hope they're doing well. Christian says, I feel the same, but have customers complaining about 75% hatch rates. Really? Complaining about a 75% hatch rate? That seems kind of, you're mailing eggs to them and they're complaining because they got a 75% hatch rate. 75% is pretty good, even if you're hatching your own eggs, actually. 75% is not bad. I can sometimes, if I really nerd out on it, I can sometimes get, like an 80 or 90% hatch rate. But that's not that much different than 75%. That's a pretty decent hatch. I'm not sure how you can educate them more on that, but who knows? So and Tara says, I agree as well. I'm not sure what you're agreeing to exactly, but thank you. Andy Rabbit says, I like the rainbow. And so and Tara says, Skittles. Yeah, I get it. I understand, but it's just not my deal. William Markle, I think it is, says, hello all. Hello to you too. Thank you for joining us tonight. Andy Rabbit says, rainbow in the sheds, quail, and rabbits. Interesting. Alan says, Chris, what brand of camera do you have monitor your birds? I was thinking about getting one set up around my animals. It would need to have a good Wi-Fi range. I'm using an Arlo camera right now. It's an old security camera that I got with my security system years ago. So there may be better options out there. I don't know that it's a good one to go with, but it does pretty well for me. I was surprised that it reaches out to my rabbit hutch. It's not that far away, maybe 100 feet or so. It's not terribly far, but It's still out there a little ways, and it does connect back to my house, my Wi-Fi. But I don't know that that's actually the best option. There may be other options that would be better. Not sure where to point you on that. That's not my expertise. I need to do some research myself, probably. Let's see. Don says, I am using Judd's Quail this time, and we'll be doing 72 a month once he starts shipping for a while. Judd's Quail, huh? I'm not familiar with them. Yep, there they are. Judd's Quail is a small return mix based in eastern Oklahoma. I wonder what part of Oklahoma. That may not be too far from me. Does it say? Bokosh, Oklahoma. I don't know where that is. I got to look real quick and see how far away that is. Let's see. My dog is howling. I don't know if you guys can hear him. There's a siren. My dog is howling. It's funny. Okay, let's see. Where is that place? It must be a ways away because I don't know any of these other towns around it. Panama. Oh, it's way south. Yeah, way south. Okay, I see. All right, well, worth looking into. So Terry says, I agree about Jumbo Brown. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, good, I guess. I don't know. Thanks you for clarifying, though. I wasn't sure what you were talking about exactly. Don S. says, I had the first quail egg breakfast this morning in over a year. Very exciting to be back in eggs and meat. Oh, yeah. I do like the quail eggs quite a bit. And my wife prefers scrambled eggs. I like fried eggs. I like scrambled, too, just fine. But fried is my kind of preference on them. And either way, they're good. And what I like about the fried eggs is I'll crack about 5 of them in a bowl and then fry it like one egg. And my favorite part about the fried eggs is the yolk. You leave it a little bit runny. And with quail eggs, you get like a yolk in every bite. You just cut the yolk out and eat the whole thing. And it's so great. But anyway, she likes the scrambled eggs quite a bit. And they do great with scrambled eggs too. But Andy Rabbit says, you remember the hatch of the older eggs? I set 120 together and got 69 to hatch out. I had 17 eggs hatch from one hen, 17 from another hen, and 11 from another hen. I do remember you talking about that. Well, that's not bad. That's pretty decent. So well done. Christian says, I like the Wise security cameras and Shelly plugs to measure power consumption and control lights. Shelly plugs. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with those. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like a pretty decent deal. Looks like $88 roughly for the cameras for like a 3-pack. I'll have to look that stuff up a little bit later and research that a little bit. Thanks for the suggestion. Hey, there's Verna. Good to see you. Says 8th like. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We're up to 17 now. We got 17 likes. Where we at here? So Swanson says 28 people in here and only 9 likes. So come on, people. Let's smack the thumbs up. Well, we got a few more. We're up to 18. So thank you. Yeah, so and Terry says, yep, the yolks are good. Yeah, it's probably my favorite part, actually. We got a couple of people talking to each other, so we'll jump. Let's see. Alan says to Christian, thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. I haven't used those cameras before, but I'll keep them in mind if I need to make some additional ones. They look like those. Yeah, those are indoor, outdoor. That's directly from the Wise site, I suppose. $88 for a pack of 3. It looks like that's not terrible. Let's see what there are on Amazon real quick. Let's see. We want outdoor cameras. About the same price, I think. Looks like one you can get on Amazon. 2-day shipping. That's a pretty decent deal. Let's see. Verna says, I just ate some boiled eggs. Was supposed to make egg salad out of it, but LOL. Yeah, I get it. So Terra says, egg salad sandwich sounds good. I've never been a huge fan of egg salad. I've had a couple that were decent, but most of the time it's just kind of not that great. But who knows? Maybe I just haven't had a good one yet. Verna says, yeah, mostly with quail eggs. Don says, I need more eggs. I only have 3 hens laying. The others are still way too young. We'll give them a little bit of time. They'll get there. Start laying pretty quick. I'm still going on. I'm getting about a dozen eggs a day, roughly, close to it, 10 to 12 a day. Out of right about 10 actually, probably per day out of my birds right now, and that's plenty of eggs for me. S.O. Swanson says, I have the Wise cameras. I catch them on sale for $25 each. Wi-Fi/outdoor, pretty good camera. Well, good deal. Thank you for letting me know. Do they have an app or something that goes with them that you can get like access to your app, or how does that work? I'm kind of curious. Is there a monthly fee with them, or are they just cameras that you just plug in and then get responses? I don't know exactly. I haven't looked into them. Verna says, time and patience is very important with quail. Yeah, indeed. I agree. My corner T-Bar says, what's your favorite heritage breed for chickens? I couldn't tell you. I don't raise chickens. I mean, I do occasionally, but when I do raise chickens, they're meat chickens, so they're Cornish cross. I couldn't tell you on an egg-laying heritage breed what's the best. I don't know. I haven't done chickens. I've just done quail. So, S.O. Swanson says, yes, app on the phone. They offer a monthly, but you don't have to use it. You can even talk to your quail on it. Ha. So it has sound and voice, huh? Interesting. You say they offer a monthly, but you don't have to use it, meaning you can use the app for free. Is it limited, like certain number of things you have for free? I can look all this stuff up later if you don't want to answer, but anyway. Andy Rabbit says, I don't have a favorite live chicken breed. And so Terra says, Steve, but can they talk back? I suppose they could. Wouldn't be very exciting, would it? Quail are not necessarily the best conversationalists. Although they are starting to, I'm hearing them crow in the mornings a lot. So even though they never stopped laying really over the winter, I mean, just for a short period, roughly. Actually, these lights I've got now, they're pretty good. And I think they're in my Amazon shop. These solar lights that I've got now, they're pretty good. They did a pretty good job of keeping them laying pretty much all year long. But for some reason, I don't hear them crow a lot in the wintertime, even though they're laying eggs or still breeding and stuff. It seems like spring and summer is when they start crowing more. Berna says, oh, but some of the calls of the roos can be very interesting. Or, yeah. No, I agree. They can be. S.O. Swanson says the only limit is what the SD card holds. The monthly would hold more videos, but I don't use it. Oh, okay, so it's like storage. That's what you're paying for, basically, is to store the videos so you can save them. Interesting. I'll look into those a little bit and see. I kind of got questions, but yeah, I'll have to check into them. Thank you for the suggestions on those. Verna says, get back here, pick me, just a couple of funny things. Talking about the roosters. Yep. Don says, I know, Verna, this is my 4th year. I took 1 year and 1 month off. About the saying you need patience to wait for the birds. Yeah, you know, well, they're going to start laying before long. Just give them a little bit of time. It seems like it takes a long time, but it's actually a very short time. I mean, you're looking at probably, 7 to 8 weeks roughly for most of them. Sometimes they'll lay earlier than that, but most of the time 7 to 8 weeks is when they start laying. So, hey, there's 340 Quail Farm. Good to see you. Says, hey, Chris and everyone, Central Florida checking in. Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate that. Dawn says, I took 1 year and 1 month off to get 2 knees. Chris, yeah, I remember you talking about that. So glad to see you're all healed up and back in it. Verna says, at least you don't have to wait 4 to 8 months like many chicken breeds. Yep, indeed. I agree. Dawn says, mine are 6 weeks right now. The others are 4. Yeah, it's about, another 3 weeks roughly, and you should start getting eggs out of them. Saw the first snake of the season I've seen. It was a garter snake, pretty good sized one, probably, I don't know, 2.5, 3 foot long, maybe probably not quite 3, 2.5 foot long, which is a pretty decent sized garter snake. They don't get real big. I was in the wood pile that we were getting the brush cleaned up. I had a big pile of brush there, and we were getting it all cleaned up, taking it to the city drop off, and saw it in there. Tried to grab a hold of him just to check him out, but he got away. Andy Rabbit says it's harder to wait for the eggs from the young ones when you're starting back up from zero. Oh yeah, it is for sure. Brenda says, uh-oh, the cops just flew by. Lights flashing, no sirens. So and Tara says, I've been eating the eggs freeze-dried. I'm not sure how that would be. I mean, I haven't tried them. Honestly, I haven't had anything freeze-dried that I thought was really that great. Not worth it well enough to justify the cost of a freeze dryer, but who knows? Verna says, and their brakes squealed. Oh, they must have had to. Wait, their brakes squealed or the tires like squealed when they hit the brakes? One of the two. I don't know. If their brakes squealed, that's rare. And I mean, surely it means they need new brakes. Surely they'd keep up with the cop cars a little bit better than that, but I don't know. Yeah, we had sirens going on a little bit ago. I don't know if it probably was the ambulance, but I don't know. S.O. Swanson says to Don that they're available. Talk about the cameras. They're available on Amazon, also Chewy, Walmart, and direct at Wise. Interesting. Don says to Andy Rabbit, it sure is. Plus, I couldn't get more chicken eggs for a long time and refused to buy from the store. I have been skimping on eggs around here. We go through phases where we eat a lot of eggs, and then sometimes we don't. But I know what you mean. I haven't bought eggs at the store in years. I mean, it's been, well, I may have bought some a year ago or 6 months ago or something. Like I had a party to go to and made some deviled eggs, I think, and didn't have enough quail eggs, so I bought chicken eggs to do it with. I can't remember now. Life Done Cheap with Lee says, I'm late, but I made it. Hello, everyone. Hello to you, too. Thank you for joining us. 340 Quail Farm wants to know from So and Tear, how long does freeze drying take? Andy Rabbit says, I love the freeze-dried peas that was in the MREs. I haven't tried freeze-dried peas, but like I said, pretty much everything. I've had several things that were freeze-dried, and none of it was really anything I would think was that. Nothing was that great, in my opinion. Desert Homestead says, on a different note, Living Tradition put out a final video this week to say goodbye. I saw that, actually. And they said, may not be forever, but they're going to take some time off, at least a little while, spend with family and, do some fishing and those. I don't blame them. I get it completely. They're a much bigger channel than I am, of course, and they were doing probably a lot more work in their videos than I am. But it's hard to keep up with the content all the time. Even for me, I mean, of course, my channel is a little different than theirs. I don't have the story. I'm not building a homestead like they were, which was an interesting story to kind of follow. And it's just hard for me to come up with topics to film every week. S.O. Swanson says, depends on what you freeze dry, Tim. More moisture items take longer, say 36 to 48 hours. Don says, S.O. Swanson, that is great. Thank you. I'll check them out. Hubby has a hardwire system he hasn't put in. I will buy my own since he procrastinates. So and Tear says, you freeze dry raw scrambled eggs, powdered and store, then reconstitute with water or milk before cooking. Interesting. Andy Rabbit says they're leaving YouTube. I haven't seen the video yet. Yeah, it was a pretty short video they put out just the other day. Oh, Andy Rabbit says not peas, pears. Okay. Yeah, I've always heard freeze-dried fruit is better, but I've tried a couple, but I'm not a huge fruit eater either, so maybe that's it. I don't know. To me, it's always just like the styrofoam version of what it used to be, like styrofoam version of fruit, or styrofoam version of candy, or styrofoam version of, whatever it used to be. It's all a little styrofoamy to me. I don't know. Don says, I saw that on Living Traditions. Yeah. Alan says, don't leave us, Chris, LOL. I'm not planning on it. I've just slowed down on the videos. At least I keep up with the lives, but trying to come up with new content to do every week on the videos is tough. I've covered everything I can think of, and I don't have a good story. I'm not necessarily the best at telling a story, but I don't know. I'll come up with something. I'll do my best to get back on track to being a little bit more consistent. So S.O. Swanson says, Andy Rabbit, the video description is titled God Bless. Yeah, you should be able to find it pretty easily. I think it was the last video they put out. So Terra says, for eggs, pre-freeze it in trays, and it takes a few days, I think. I may have a video on it. I don't recall. Shane says, hello, Chris and viewers. I've heard from your videos and others that quail get stressed easily and quit laying. How bad does it stress them out with a riding mower weed eater? That doesn't seem to bother them, really. I mow and weed eat right by there, and sometimes they'll get a little like flighty whenever I'm going by with the mower or something, but it doesn't seem to really bother them. The things that really seem to stress them out is moving them around. That seems to be the thing that stresses them out more than anything, is moving them around. So if you move them from one cage to another, or like when you buy them from somewhere and bring them home, that stresses them out a lot. But other than that, not many. It's not really a big deal. I guess if you had like significant predator pressure on them that was coming around all the time, that might stress them out a little bit. I had a big, I don't know, probably wasn't that big. He was probably a 5-foot black snake that got into my quail hutch, killed at least, I think killed 2 of my birds. This was like a year ago. Killed 2 birds, ate one, and didn't eat the other one, and they never stopped laying. I mean, the ones that he ate did, of course, but the ones that were still in the cage, they never stopped laying. So it didn't stress them out too much. It's really not a big issue. Andy Rabbit says, LOL, Chris, that's a funny way of saying that. Oh, talking about styrofoam version of food. That's what it just seems like to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm a weirdo. I don't know. Williams says, I lost a hen last week. She named Three Toes because she was named Three Toes, I think is what it is, because as a tiny little pet peep, she somehow, I don't know, she somehow maneo her. I don't know. She was down to 3 toes, I'm guessing, is the answer, right? You lost her last week. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at trying to figure out exactly. I think the autocorrect got you, and maybe misspelling is what I do. Yeah, I'm good at that too. Trust me, it's all good. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you, I should say. So Tara says, you can do more knot videos. Yeah, I could. I like knots quite a bit. I think they're pretty cool. I don't know what they call it, but I call it macrame because it is macrame. But all these things that people do, like decorative knot tying, making things. I make my rifle slings out of paracord. I've got a belt that I use when I go fishing. I made out of paracord, and I like that kind of stuff. I think knots are useful and handy. I could do some more on knot tying, I guess. Really, there's only like a handful of knots that I use, and I've shown them off before. Bowline, trucker's hitch, or however you want to call it. Those are the 2 primary ones I use all the time. S.O. Swanson says, let's see, Shane. Mine don't care about the riding mower, weed eater, fireworks, power tools, or loud exhaust. Yeah, it doesn't seem to bother him at all. Andy Rabbit says, I haven't been home much to watch much. I was going to head out to start working on the quail house, but then I saw your video pop up, so I'll wait till tomorrow. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate that. Dawn says, LOL, I ran the vacuum cleaner next to the brooder. That was funny. They didn't like you sliding the incubator on the countertop either. I pull it out, check it, and shove it back, LOL. Yeah, they may get a little freaked out while you're doing it, but it's not like they don't quit laying or anything like that. I've never had that issue. So Tara says, quail can get acclimated to whatever is normal. It's when things become abnormal that it's an issue. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think you're right. Life Done Cheap with Lee says, I'm trying to grow my page on here, and I kind of have hit a wall. Videos die off after the first day. How do you get more views of your videos? For reference, I only use my phone. Well, I don't know if I'm the best one to answer that necessarily. I mean, I got 100,000 subscribers, but I don't get anywhere near that many views. Most of my views, I mean, I'm lucky to get 3,000 or 4,000 views on a video anymore, and that's okay. I'm not complaining about that at all. But really, it's just about you grow just by consistency. And again, ideally, you have a couple of different kinds of videos. So you have some videos like what I tend to do focus on mostly are like instructional kind of evergreen type content. So like how to do this with quail. Well, that's never going to change. That's not one of the, I mean, I shouldn't say never, but for the most part, that's not like the politics of the day or some kind of current event kind of thing that's only relevant for a short period of time. But that one kind of video should be ideally like draw people in, because that's what people are searching for. They're searching for how do I get my quail to lay eggs or whatever. And so you do a video on that draws them in, as long as you've done a decent job with the video, giving them good content, and keep those short and to the point, because that's what they're looking for when they're looking for those kinds of videos. They don't want a long story about it or anything. They want to be able to get in and get the information they need. So don't try to go into a long story. That drives me insane when I'm trying to look up a video about how to fix something or whatever. And I got to listen to this guy's story about his mom and his, how she tore this thing up to begin with or what. Just get to the point. I'm looking for the information. Then you do other videos that would be more like, what is your story? What is your, and you can just kind of ramble on those a little bit, talk a little bit more about like, what are you doing? Are you building a homestead? Are you, those kinds of videos are kind of more life kind of videos. Get people to, those are the ones that people that, stick around would want to watch necessarily. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. And again, I'm not necessarily the best one. You'd have to look at some other things, but really the key is consistency. Just can keep putting them up, keep consistently putting them up, and eventually more and more people will find you, more and more people will watch and hopefully connect with you. Shane says, thank you and SO getting set up to start raising and trying to find the best location for my cage. Well, you're absolutely welcome. Andy Rabbit says, your knot video came in handy for me. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. I did some videos years ago on knot tying and showed off different kinds of knots, but every once in a while I just show them, like whenever I'm doing something that requires me to tie something, I show off, oh, here's how you tie this knot that I'm using here. Shane says, hey, Vase, watched many videos on lives, first time commenter. Well, you're not talking to me, but either way, thank you for commenting. I appreciate that. And thanks for watching the lives. Let's see, where we at here? Andy Rabbit says, shorter videos seem to attract me more than a long one, 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, it kind of depends on what it is, honestly. Like I said, if I'm just looking for like, I don't know. If I'm just browsing and I want to watch some videos or something like that, and I'm just browsing through, I don't mind a little bit of a longer video. Living Traditions did a good job with this. They had some shorter videos that were more specific, like how to build a chicken tractor or whatever. And then they had other videos that were more about like they're building their life, their homestead, what's their goals and their, that kind of stuff that they would talk about that were a little bit longer form. And those I didn't mind watching so much, but those take a little bit more, those are a lot more involved because you can't just sit there and talk to the camera for 30 minutes. I mean, nobody's going to want to watch that. They want cuts. They want, maybe some music playing, that kind of stuff. But again, your instructional videos about how to do something or whatever, those should be short and to the point. That's what people want to see. Verna says consistency helps for the most part. Yep, I agree. Desert Homesteading says, you have made a lot of how-to videos. How about some how not to videos, bonehead ideas, and bloopers? Yeah, I don't have a lot of bloopers other than I typically don't script out my videos. I just get up there and talk about a topic. I'm kind of just that way. I don't mind talking in front of people. It doesn't make me nervous or anything. So, the most bloopers I have is where I just kind of stumble over my words a little bit and I go, let's say that again a different way. So it's not really that entertaining. I'll have to think if I can figure out some not. I mean, I do plenty of stupid things, and I've shown them in video. When I do stupid things, I just let it, leave it in there and let it go. I mean, you've seen some videos where I almost set my set my yard on fire one time, burning a brush pile, and I just left it in the video and let everybody see it. I think cutting down a tree that didn't go the way I wanted it to, fell back the other direction. I'd left that in the video. I let you guys see when I make mistakes. I don't care. Because it doesn't matter to me. But anyway, thank you for the suggestion. I'll see what I can do to come up with some stuff. Let's see. Dawn says the Desert Homestead, I would not waste my time on bloopers, etc. Those are just someone's opinion. Well, yeah, you may be right. Rabbit Homesteading says, hey, Chris, just bought a lawn sweeper and YouTubed it and ran into an old one from you, LOL. Yeah, I bought a lawn sweeper. I bought it used, which was a way to go. But, man, that thing is fantastic. It's great. Desert Homestead says, Desert Homestead, anyway, says, I learned by mistake. I think we all do. I think that's pretty, I mean, I shouldn't say everybody. But, yeah, I mean, I definitely learn from mistakes. I mean, we all do, right? S.O. Swanson says, I learned from my mistakes. I tend to repeat other people's mistakes. Yeah, I can be bad about that too. It's not good. So I'm bad about that. So I do have I ordered a carburetor for my I had an old weed eater that was in the garage that I converted into an edger. And I hadn't been using it because I don't care that much about it. But my wife likes the yard to be edged real well. So I've been doing it with the weed eater, but I thought, I got an edger. I might as well get that out and just use it, develop a good edge on my, my walkways, sideways, that kind of thing. So, I mean, if you guys want to see a video of me replacing a carburetor on the weed eater, you can, because it's an old one. It needs to be fixed. Hopefully I can get it fixed and running. And I'm just going to put the carburetor on it. That's pretty easy to do. But if you want a video on it, I can do it. You guys let me know. How are we doing on time? We got 8 minutes left. So got 8 minutes. Go ahead and put your comments in here, your chats. Give me something to respond to for the next 8 minutes. And we'll be good. We got hearts coming from somebody. I don't know who those are. S.O. Swanson says, good idea, Chris. Then maybe I can pull some broken stuff out of my pile to fix them. Yeah, I may do that. Yeah, I mean, this was an old, good grief, it's been years, so probably 10 years almost since that weed eater. It's an old Troy-built weed eater. And, I mean, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It needed a primer bulb replaced for sure, but I'm almost positive after 10 years of sitting in there, it needs a new carb. You can take it apart and clean it out and all, but honestly, I mean, a new carb kit or new carb for it is like $24. So, and that comes with the priming bulb and everything. I might as well just do that, right? Andy Rabbit says, I really feel bad sometimes when I try to tell someone my past mistakes and then see them do it themselves. Yeah, I mean, we're all that way somewhat, right? Kind of a little stubborn, got to figure it out for myself kind of thing. I know that I have, just disregarded advice from some people and tried things myself. And sometimes it works, which is bad because, then it encourages you to not listen to that advice in the future. Sometimes it doesn't work. Clifton says, let's see, question. We have been raising chickens a long time, and we have a young hen that looks like she is a water sack under her neck, I think it is, like the whole breast area. What could that be? Never seen it before. Yeah, that's a, somebody says, Rabbit Homesteading says crop bound with a question mark. I think that's probably what it is. I couldn't tell you the exact way to fix it, but look it up. There'll be instructions on how to do that. I've seen it before, but I don't have experience with chickens, so I don't really know. But Alan Pulley says, small engine repair is always helpful. Good idea. Yeah, I'm not the best with small engine repair, but I know how to replace a carburetor. That's really not that difficult. So I can do that. And that's actually a lot easier. I mean, I could, like I said, I could take the carburetor out, take it apart and clean it. There's a lot of little pieces there, a couple of them in particular that you stand a good chance of losing, and it's kind of a pain. So for $24, it's just easier to buy a new carburetor. That's just the way I think. Desert Homestead says, for me, I tend to think of content creators as friends, and I look forward to your new video to hang out with my friends, and the content is a bonus. Well, that's a good point. And I do that as well, I guess. So I guess it doesn't really matter what I post, but I should try to get something out either way, right? I mean, I've done all kinds of videos. Like I've done videos where I've sat and just discussed scripture and some of the my takes on it, but I don't know. I'll come up with something. Randy says, watching your video is what got me into quail. I used your design. Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that you found the videos helpful. Kay says, I was showing my grandson how to open a feed bag the other day, and my son told me it would have been nice if I would have taught him. I never thought he hadn't learned as a kid, LOL. So, that's another thing I kind of, I don't know. I guess I was kind of, I come from the generation, I heard a comedian say this the other day. He said, Generation X, he said, when we were kids, I said, we were independent. We went out. We were gone all day. Nobody knew where we were at. We just played. If we got hurt, we just took care of it ourselves, all this kind of stuff. He said today that'd be called neglect. But what it taught me was just to do a lot of things on my own. I learned how to change brakes, mostly because I was poor and couldn't afford to pay somebody to do it. So I learned how to do it myself. And oh, look at that. Rabbit Homestead sent a $2 super chat. Says lots of real life help here, folks. Well, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. But anyway, I guess my point to that was like, I can remember vividly, like one of my first jobs working at a fast food restaurant, and they were going to train me on how to sweep the floor. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I know how to sweep a floor. I mean, I don't need trained on that. It was the weirdest thing in the world to me. The same kind of thing with a food bag. It's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? I mean, it even says on the bag, pull right here, I mean, but I guess not everybody has that experience. So that's my hard part. And I've always, that's why I'm not a rich inventor either, because a lot of things I think up, I'm like, well, that's stupid. Nobody's going to buy that. And then somebody invents a pet rock and sells it for millions of dollars, so, or earns millions of dollars selling it. So I'm bad about talking myself out of some of those kinds of things. All right, where are we at on time? We got 3 minutes left. The chat has slowed down. There's Kay says, yes, Chris, my son would leave on horses with 22s and a dog, and he'd be gone all day. Figured if they needed help, the dog would come back. I live in the national forest. Couldn't do that today. I guess you couldn't. I mean, I don't know. Could you? Is it really that much worse today, or is it just that we're more aware of every bad thing that happens? I mean, I grew up, I was born in the 70s, so I grew up in the 80s and 90s. And I mean, there was that whole satanic scare back then. We didn't have the internet, so we didn't know about every little thing like that. But I mean, it made news, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's really all that bad or not. But Andy Rabbit says, my granddaughter just looked at the TV and said, hi, Chris. Well, tell her I said hi. Thank you for watching tonight. Appreciate it. S.O. Swanson says, I think we are more aware, quicker information from the world, not just our street. Yeah, I agree. I think we worry about things too a lot of the time because of that. It's like we get all this information from all over the place, see how bad it is. It's really not that bad here, I mean, who knows? Shane says, a friend of ours started dating a guy a few years ago, and he didn't know how to open a feed sack. He was 50-ish. That seems odd. I mean, I think that's strange, And I mean, I'm not judging them. It just seems I never would have thought that somebody didn't know how to open a feed sack. Is there? Let me do a quick search. I got to see this. How to open a feed sack. Let's see if there's a video on how to open a feed sack. Oh, look, there's a couple of them. Let's see how much. It's only 1 minute 40 seconds long. How many views has this had? 240,000 views on this video. This guy's got 15,000 subscribers. He put it out 9 years ago. And oh, it's in Arabic, though, I think. He says life hack. I'll have to look at this later. That's a little bit crazy. So he's got a different kind of feedback. It doesn't actually say on the feedback how to open it. But, here's the other thing, too, though. Maybe there's a good question there. So maybe, here's my thought. If you can't figure out how to pull the string or pull the right string to open the feed sack, because that can be a little tricky sometimes. Then you always got, well, you should always have one of these in your pocket, and it's super easy to open a bag that way. So that's just my thought on it. Life Done Cheap with Lee says, how do you stop a buck from peeing all over himself? Oh, no, I don't know that you can. Yeah, I don't know that you can. That is the problem with bucks. They can tend to be a little nasty. If you get ones that aren't white, it's less noticeable. So, but yeah, that's always the problem, isn't it? Andy Rabbit says the granddaughter said, "Thank you for the rabbits. She has put clamps on one of them. She put clamps on them. I don't know what you mean by that exactly, but K Moses says I need to teach him how to tie a miller's knot. I'm not familiar with a miller's knot. I don't know what that is. Maybe I call it a different thing. Miller's knot. Oh, okay, for like a feed sack or something. I got you now. Okay, I just didn't know it was called a miller's knot. Shane says he used scissors. Okay. Rabbit Homesteading says you can't judge people who grew up different ways. No, absolutely. And I don't mean it in a judgmental way when I say that. It's just strange to me that people don't know that. It's just, and like you said, it's a different thing. It's not that they're stupid or anything like that. They probably know a lot of things that I don't know, and they would look at me like, how do you not know that? Christian says, thanks for the information and entertainment. Calling quail is more fun while watching you. Well, I'm glad that you found it a little fun anyway. S.O. Swanson says they have a bib for that. And William says, what? I don't know what you're asking what to, but Andy Rabbit says, I still can't open the feed sack sometimes. Yeah, no kidding. Shane says, wasn't trying to offend S.O., just commenting. I don't think anybody took it that way. S.O. Swanson, where are we at? We're at 8:01. I got to get through these next couple of comments and then close this one out. S.O. Swanson says, thanks again for giving us your time, and thank your wife for sharing you with us. I appreciate that. And Andy Rabbit says, not clamps, autocorrect. Okay, not going to tell us what it meant, just not clamps, right? I didn't think it was clamps. Don S. says, I had no reason to have a feed sack until I got quail. So, yeah, but dog food or something came in bags like that, right? Maybe not. Don't know. And Diamond Painting with Haley says, hey, Chris, how are your rabbits doing? They're doing great. No problems whatsoever. Expecting new babies. Claimed. Oh, she's claimed them. Okay, gotcha. Claims. I saw it. Okay, got it. Makes sense. Yeah, the should have baby rabbits probably from the Tumuk rabbits probably next week, next Wednesday or so, somewhere around in there. Yeah, I get it. All right, guys, I got to wrap this one up. We're past time, but should be back next week. Don't see any reason why I won't be. If I can't make it, I'll post in the community section like I always do. So thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week. And as always, God bless.